The purpose of Federalist Paper number 78 is to express the independency of the judicial branch and its power compared to the other branches. Enjoy the presentation as Ryan Saunders, Bo Tran, and Jared Clevenger will summarize Federalist Paper number 78. Hello and welcome. As my friend Alexander Hamilton said, we will be explaining Federalist Paper number 78. Enjoy. Appointing a judge can be difficult and tricky. That's why they hold their office during good behavior. Holding any office in the judicial branch is one of the highest and most valuable honors in any branch. It is best expressed that in almost any republic or kingdom that the judges are seen as almost political barriers for any unwanted threat to one's own rights or self. In governments, judges should be impartial and see both sides and decide on punishments in a fair and just way.
Basically, this paper is saying that the judicial branch is a wall against outside forces, being as impartial as it can be, and to be a secure and a steady administration.
This paper puzzles me at the fact of the judiciary branch being seen as one of the least effective in politics. Even though the judges who hold offices during good behavior,
they can easily be fired by the executive branch and almost easily be replaced.
The easiest way to describe all powers of each branch is that the executive is the enforcement or the sword, the legislative is the controlling of money and setting rules or the purse. Sadly, the judiciary can have no power over the sword or purse, and in the end the only power it has is the power of judgment.
In the end, the judicial branch comes out on bottom, having the weakest strength and barely any authority. It has no way of protecting itself from an attack from the other branches. To quote Montesquieu, "There is no liberty, if the last place that has liberty can have nothing to fear from the judiciary alone, but would have everything to fear from its union with either of the other departments."
Okay. I got to go now. I have to go audition for the Aladdin movie if it isn't too late.
Also, why does my voice keep changing?
Is this a side effect of living inside a lamp full of helium?
Needs more color.
Hello everyone. Seeing that my friend here had a hard time contemplating the strength of these papers, let me explain along with Jared. It's an interesting question that the branch should be able to void legislative acts, but this then goes against the Constitution because it would then say that it has superiority over the legislature's power. This document is heavily important and a good discussion of its background needs to be said.
This document describes the legislative as being their own judges and also being judges to themselves. Also saying that they must not be above the Constitution and see to it that everyone else, including other bodies of governments, follow these rules.
These courts should be intended to provide the people a sort of middle ground between the people and the legislature. These courts are solely intended to interpret the laws in the Constitution, and the judges should see these as the fundamental laws. These judges need to dictate the meaning of any particular act in the Constitution.
To conclude the question, that the judicial branch has any superiority over the legislative branch, is that in the end the people's power is superior to both branches. The judges should be considered as a wall to legislative intrusions against a limited constitution. This in turn brings the point about how long judges should keep their position, and eventually come to be that they hold permanent tenure in office. Keep in mind that any judge who holds his position must keep faithful to the people and their constitution.
In the end, with this document, both the Constitution and judges need to coexist. Without the judges, the Constitution could not be interpreted and protected by them. Judges need the Constitution to question laws that come from the legislature and see to it that it is protected and preserved for years.
You know, Ryan, why couldn't this paper have been summed up in like 2 sentences?
Do not interrupt. The independence of the judges from the other 2 branches is very necessary to guard the Constitution and the rights of its people. The American people should have the right to change its own constitution if need be, when questioning its government's own principles, and if the people in general just aren't happy with the government. Until the people have, by some solemn and authoritative act, annulled or changed the established form, it is binding upon themselves collectively, as well as individually, and no presumption, or even knowledge, of their sentiments, can warrant their representatives in a departure from it, prior to such an act. But it is easy to see that it would require an uncommon portion of fortitude in the judges to do their duty as faithful guardians of the Constitution, where legislative invasions of it had been instigated by the major voice of the community. You know, you're right, this could have been summed up in 2 sentences.